The keyword throw is used to manually throw an exception. Videos 81 and 82 introduce you to exceptions and how to handle the exceptions. An exception shows there is a problem with our program. So why do we want to manually throw an exception if it shows there is a problem? Manually throwing an exception allows us to handle the problem in our code as part of the overall handling exception strategy. Most of the times, the exception we throw will be in an instance of an exception class that we create. In Eclipse, I have a class called demo throw with two methods, divide numbers and the main method. The divide numbers method has int dividend equal num1 divided by num2 and a print statement. The main method will pass 100 to num1 and 10 to num2. Let's run. The console shows what is 100 divided by 10. 10 is the answer. That's cool, but what if we pass 0 as num2? Then run. Now we see an exception. Arithmetic exception divided by 0. Manually throwing an exception, or we can say explicitly throwing an exception, allows us to handle this problem and customize the exception. Place these two statements in an if block. If num2 is greater than 0, then paste both statements. Write else. First, we write keyword throw, then new, followed by the exception, arithmetic exception. Customize the exception by writing cannot divide by 0 or less than 0. The keyword throw is how we manually throw this arithmetic exception. Run again. We see the same arithmetic exception with the customized message. Cannot divide by 0 or less than 0. Our message provides more information to the user. This was an intro to keyword throw in Java. I plan to show you how two keywords, throw and throws, work together to make our program complete. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I'll see you in the next video. When it comes to the keyword throws, we must declare one or more exceptions in a throws clause if the method generates an exception and does not handle the exception. The responsibility of handling the exception falls onto the calling method. In the previous video, I mentioned the keyword throw is used to manually throw an exception. Let's look at throw and throws. Under class 1, I have a method called divide numbers that receive two integer arguments. Num1 gets divided by num2 and the value is assigned to dividend. Dividend is returned to the calling method in class 2. We see under class 2, I created an object called obj. Obj calls the divide numbers method in class 1, then pass 150. When I execute, we see 2 is returned to the console. Suppose I change 50 to 0. In the previous video, we saw an exception will show up because a number cannot be divided by 0. Let's run again. Did the exception happen in class 1 or class 2? The stack trace shows us arithmetic exception divided by 0 and class 1 divide numbers. When the exception happened, the code was running in class 1. However, class 2 must handle the exception because it sent the values 100 and 0. Let's handle the exception by surrounding dividend equals num1 divided by num2 with the try statement. In the catch statement, exception, we write a print statement, sysout, for class 1. Throwing back an exception to class 2. At this point, class 1 does not know how to handle the data because class 2 is sending data that's causing a problem. Let's rethrow the exception by throwing back an exception to the calling class with the customized message. Throw new exception. Can you check your numbers? Here's where we implement the throws keyword. Notice there's a compiler error. Hover the error and we see add throws declaration. Select it. And throws exception is added to our method signature, saving class 1, causing error in class 2. Class 2 has an error because it's calling the divide numbers method. The divide numbers method indicates it may throw an exception. Therefore, class 2 has to handle the exception that class 1 throws back. Hover the error and select surround with try catch. Print the message sysout class 2. I almost misspelled class, didn't I? E.get message. Now let's run. We see class 1 throwing back an exception to class 2. Class 2, can you check your numbers? To recap, class 2 calls the divide numbers method in class 1. Class 1 receives values 100 and 0, which causes an exception. It tries the numbers, then catch the exception. After catching the exception, class 1 throws a new exception with the message that's sent back to class 2. The throws keyword is used in the method's signature because the method may throw an exception. We can add one or more exceptions separated by a comma. That's it for both keywords throw and throws. Throw is used to manually throw an exception, and throws is declared in the method signature to declare an exception that might get thrown. That's it for throw and throws. Follow me on Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I have a lot more tutorials, demos to show you for programming and automation. And I'll see you in the next video.
Books available in paperback, ebook, and PDF. All Part 1 ebooks and PDF documents are free. Programming books for UFT. Programming books for Java. Here's the Selenium Automation book. And TestNG. Subscribe to get notification of future videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.